Good afternoon, everyone. So let's start. Hello, everyone. My name is Rajan, and I'm a senior principal architect with 15 years of the experience. Today, I'm going to help you with move beyond just learning the technologies, and I will help you how you can start thinking, building, and solving problem like a professional. So let's start. I'm going to share my slide and then I will walk you through end to end for that. So let me share this. All right. So I want to run an experiment with you before we go to start because this is very important. First, we understand the problem in depth. To understand the problem, let's play a quiz. What you can do is you can either put on the chat your answers. It's all up to you, like zero, one, or yes or no. Or if you are introvert and do you think that you should not be exposing your skill set outside your comfort zone, then you can start counting on your fingers, like number of the answers you say you know, raise your finger and you can count those. Okay, so let's give it a try. There will be total 7 questions I'm going to ask, and all the 7 is going to discuss one specific technologies. The technology is Git, and I hope most of the people already aware what is Git. And Git is the tool that going to help us to evaluate some of the conditions in specific, based on the specific questions. Question number 1: have you ever used Git? Yes or no? Zero, one. If you like, you can share. All right. And the next question is: have you pushed your code in your repository, I mean, to the GitHub? Have you ever pushed that? If yes, no, it's all up to you. You can count on, you can share on the chat box, or you can share on the uh, you can maintain at your end, but just do this exercise because this will help you to evaluate what exactly we are going to discuss in the long directions. The next question is: can you explain the difference between git fetch and git pull? Now, this is again a very interesting question. I'm sure a lot of people already know about that, or maybe there's a situation we never heard of it. It's Git is a tool which is very known but very limited with the information, people who actually process that. The next question is: Have you ever resolved a merge conflict? This is my favorite because till now I struggle some time to make sure we're doing it the correct. What does get rebase do to your history? When I'm saying history, what exactly it does? Or do you know any situation where it become dangerous? Maybe yes, maybe no. But the question is, do you do you know that? That's the question. Let's move on the next question. You deleted a commit by accident, and if you want to revert it, can you get it back? This is the question I have. Such questions will help us to understand about depth, how we doing things and how we want to do it. But the question comes to the picture is, do we have the enough um, depth to understand this particular um, question? Now, the last question: what is a commit? Do we understand that? Do we know what it is? And do we have the next enough experience that gonna explain that? Okay, I have the understanding and I can work with that. Do you have that understanding enough? That's the next question I have. All those questions I'm asking here, it is more with um, to understand or evaluate the understanding around the kit. Now, from here the story things started. Here is actually two things I learned. We did 7 questions. We did same technology and same tool for every single person who is listening this live discussion. And by the number of question 4 and 5, we have seen there's a glitch. Now, I have I need to be very careful here because there are two conclusions you could draw from this, and both can be wrong, or I would say both of them are wrong. It's the correct one. The wrong conclusion number one is I am bad at tech. Yeah, this is something uh, I would say the hallucination everybody have. Why? Let me explain. So if you look here on this in this particular scenario, what you will understand is the question we are going to ask here is not going to tell you that how good you are in the tag. It is become a missing map which nobody explain you. The wrong conclusion number two is, if you see here, is this week what I'm gonna do is I will learn the git in depth and I will make sure I understand that. This is also a problem. And I want to say it clearly that because I think a lot of people get it backwards. Knowing every git command does not make you great engineer. And at the same time, not knowing all the git command does not make you a bad engineer. And I have worked with genuinely brilliant engineers, people who have design system that serve millions of the user, who still use Google what git reset is doing, or how the git reset works every time. And I have met with people who can recite every flag of every git command and cannot design their way out of a simple problem. This is something that I see in the everyday life. In depth, Git is real and it is valuable. And yes, you should know your daily tools properly. But it is not a scoreboard where you have to point out or showcase like this is what you have achieved. It is it is not something that become an industry standard, because here's the thing that is absolutely certain: nobody know everything. Nobody, not even me, not your senior, not the people who wrote the tool even. So now maybe you will asking, if that is the case, then what is the benefit of doing that exercise? What was it? In that case, I would like to show you something here. If you see this slide, so in this slide, look for the shape. It's not a gentle shape. So in the last offline event, we did some research with around 100 people. We asked the same set of the questions, and we asked for yes and no. And here is the map of the yes. And the cliff exists for every technology you will ever touch. It is just not for a one technology. And this is a very generic map. When I'm saying generic, it's maybe number can be different based on the people and based on the community, but you will always see such slope in all the technologies when you go with the headcounts. So it have a two part. If you look at the graph, we call it yellow as left, and pink or orange, what it looks like on the screen, is on the right. Now, no matter what technology you pick the Kubernetes, you pick a Docker, you pick the SQL, Python, whatever come in the next year or in the future or in the past, the slope will be there. Now, if you think more about it, then what is the meaning of it? So remember the slide, we talk about the left and right. So the left part where you see in the side is is you are using it, and the confusing part where we have the slope showing off is the part called the understanding it. Now, on the right side, you see you understand it. It means you can debug it when it's break, and you really don't depend on the tutorial to help you out in such depth. You can explain it to the interview. You can teach or explain that technology to anyone else. That's, if you can do it, that's called the understanding. If I go back to the chart just to show you one more time, you see the number which is pink or this magenta color is something called the technology fall in the slope fall in the understanding category. Now, one thing that nobody told us, um and nobody going to tell you, is most engineer spend their entire career on the left side of the cliff for every single technology they touch. Not because they are lazy, because nobody ever showed them there was another side, or there was another side, how to access that side and understand it. So that exactly we are going to discuss in detail today. About, by the end of this tour, the today's call, you will have two things. First, an honest understanding of why you feel permanently behind. And I promise you, it's not it's not intelligence. It's not second, a simple repeatable process. It's just it's all the five steps that you will learn, understand, and then will help you out within 3 weeks. So it is not learn everything in 24 hours. I'm not going to promote that, but 3 weeks we will go with the real depth, one technology at a time. That's the goal I have, which you should be capable to do it. So let's break it out in three parts, like the entire journey we are going to do. We will discuss the current situation, how you feel, what is the current situations you have. If you can align with me in next 10 or 20 minutes, trust me, if we are on the same page, this session is going to solve your problem. Once we understand the problem, we will understand the next phase is the process we need to pick to actually understand how you can learn a technology in the right way. And the third is, once we understand the process, then how is actually going to work for you, which is personalized, a memory map which help you to understand how you can execute it well. So the one statement that I always discuss with a lot of people, and I have seen students or the early stage career people wants to learn everything, but you never supposed to learn everything, because every time you go and learn everything, it's become kind of the anxiety that keep triggering you to do more and more, and end of the day you get nothing, because you stuck in a loop where you keep learning but you have no idea what you have done so far and how you're going to use this one. So on the YouTube, or if you open any LinkedIn, you see some post about a new framework, or maybe sometime you open a YouTube and you see there is 3 videos talking about a new technology and you never heard of it. So back of the mind you have a thought, oh, I don't know that technology, I should know it. And there is a new technology launched in like this week, and 3 week past you see the video and you like, oh, why I missed, why how it is possible that I missed that technology, I really need to go and learn about it. This is a very big problem nowadays. People stuck in a process to keep learning and learning, and that will lead to the anxiety. So that anxiety is not something that you should ignore. And why I'm telling you this, because I was in the loop. I figure out very late. I hope somebody can explain me in the time when I was in this tech, but that's the truth that you need to understand. And I will be honest with you, I have 15 plus years of the experience, and still sometime I feel it too, like I need to learn that specific, because this is something is going to help me, and this will never go away. This will, even though if you are become the super senior, that still back of the mind will keep hitting you again and again, that you need to learn everything. And maybe you will start building to-do list, which is you will keep growing, and there is high probability we will never achieve that. And this is kind of the mathematics we never calculated well. One thing you need to understand is your skill is not just a one thing or a one factor. It is actually the combination of two things, all your technical capabilities, and both behave absolutely different. But to explain that part, I will split that technologies in a tree structure. So imagine there is a tree, and tree have two major component. One is the root, and the another is the leaves. So let's talk about the leaves. What exactly the leaf is? So imagine the leaves are just the tools, or maybe a specific framework, or a specific cloud provider CLI. You can take the example, or maybe this year's new library which is launched with something, and the AI tool every user this month is holding, number of the AI tools you nowadays love to do the work. And why I'm telling the leaves is because leaf falls every season, so the new leaves can grow up, which means such technology is not going to be a long term with you. It is just the momental where you understand, consume, and do the work, because soon enough it will become the outdated. The great expects are, or the great expectations for the people are, they should spend half life of technical skill on the root prospect. So the leave will stay maybe 1 year, 2 year, max three. That's all the thing is. But the root is going to stay with you decades. And when I'm saying the decades, it means some technology basic that is always and always being used to evaluate everything. So I remember there's a IBM own research that put tool specific skill, the particular we're talking about the leaves here, and they calculated about 2.5 years that is going to stay. And for the AI specific tools, they have the estimation around maximum 2 years. That's what they calculated. And there was one more report coming from the World Economic Forums, and they explicitly say that roughly 40%, if you noted the figure, 40% of the skills people holding today will be transformed, outdated by 2030. And it's just 4 years left, so imagine the 40% of the people have to come up again with a new technology. And this is really a problem. But that's not the whole story. I'm not saying uh, the technology is disappearing or you should go and do the MBA and move on the different domain. I'm not saying that. I'm saying focusing on the root is the key. So what is root? Let's understand some examples, like how network actually works. That's something you should know in depth, because this is going nowhere. It's always going to stay with you. How an operating system do the work, how it schedule the things, how the model data works, how the model data managed, how to read someone else code. That is very crucial, because if you are working in the industry and you really need to go and look at someone else code, you should have a capability to evaluate that code. And I'm saying on my experience, this is one of the hardest thing people face nowadays. They believe instead of looking at someone else code, maybe I go and build myself, because it's very hard to debug someone else code. And it happens because you have some missing basics, and based on those basics you cannot evaluate the technology well. You need to understand how to debug well, how to make sure uh, something you have done which is core technical, and you have the capability to explain the same thing to a non-technical in the simple form. If you can do that, this is one of the greatest skill you will achieve, and that's why it's called the root. So root is going to stay with you almost like 30 years. That's the understanding. So leaves fall every season, roots hold the tree for next 30 years. This is how you need to understand that. And that's the trap you will feel here is, people spend their entire, 20s collecting leaves with no roots, and they have wondered why every new technology feel like starting from zero, because for them it is like, if you don't have roots, so every new leaf it's should be a week, but it become a 6 month of a project, because you have to grow the tree to understand the leaf. So if you really need to understand it, you have to be very specific about how you understand the roots. Because we talk about the skills, so imagine your skills like a portfolio. So there is a book many of you should read, called the Programmatic Programmer, I think I remember. One of the best idea is to treat your knowledge like a financial portfolio. So you invest regularly, you diversify but not infinite, and you hold some safe long term assets, and you take a few calculated bets on the new things, and you rebalance. That is periodically you review, and you drop what's no longer paying. Most students have a portfolio that is 100% based on bets, and zero long term holding, all leaves, no roots. So the truth number one is, you are not behind, you are unfiltered. You are being treated an infinite stream as to-do list. Nobody give you a filter. So let's talk about the filter. And this particular slide is one of my favorite slide, because I learned in very hard way. And let's be honest, how many hours of the tutorial or the content you have watched in last month? Maybe type a number. If you know, like, number of the technology you have watched, maybe a full uh, 40 hours of complete Udemy course you have done, things. Now the follow up is the painful thing. If you don't have that course now in your hand, can you do it without looking up back on the same thing? Do you understand the problem they are solving? Do you remember it correctly? And 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 if you can do that, is it possible to do it now without the help? That's called the tutorial graveyard. And why this slide is important is, imagine you have watched a particular video where you have explained 40 hours of the video, which have the six playlists to do something, or maybe imagine like a Udemy course, and you watch or one I'm not sure I'm the one. I watched sometime Udemy course on 1.5 speed because I need to finish the course fast. My understanding is, if I watch the course fast, I capture everything in my mind and I know I have done the course. And I have three or four folders on my laptop called practice 1, practice 2, practice 3, and so and so. And I'm being cruel here. Your skill is like close to zero after watching that video. Why? Because I'm not saying you are lazy enough to just go and watch the video. Because you spend your all the hours to listen something, to understand something. So when you watch a tutorial, an expert is doing something in front of you smoothly, and it does not have any errors. It explain it clearly. Your brain following along perfectly, like what they say, you absolutely understand that. Every step makes sense, and there is genuinely feeling of understanding. The feeling is real, but it's a lie. Let me explain you that. So what you are experiencing is called the recognition. your brain is like, yes, that makes sense, which is a completely different mental operation from I can produce it myself. So such research has been done. So there is one of the genuinely I found, which is genuinely important. A team of psychologists led by the John Donsky. I have the book, actually. This is a very good book. uh, they did a study on the most common techniques against the decades of the evidence, and they have hundreds of the student they rated. So what two techniques come out of a very high utility is, almost everyone doing that: reread, highlight, and summarize. I will repeat: reread, highlight, and summarize. That outcome become the low quality. I know. Let's sit and discuss for that. That three things we're doing from the school, we passed our exam based on that. According to the evidence, almost things we have done here is the least effective, because now how much you remember that you have done, like you spend years to learn something, and in some time you have no idea how you did it. And let's go back to the watching tutorial we're discussing. Sorry, I've been distracted. So that specific tutorial you watched, it's become a rereading, and it is smooth, it is comfortable. Also, it gives you the feeling that you are learning in a very fast pace. These techniques that feel most effective, any technique, like when you're learning any technique which we feel most effective, is always the least effective. And the one that feel hard and slow slightly is more effective. That that is the that is the outcome that you really need to understand. And this is not something I'm making up. Every senior who is listening this will agree with that. If anything's going smooth fast, it's not going to help you in the long term. It's like least effective things you become. But as much as the blocker you will start seeing, that will stay with you. So what are the two techniques that is actually working? So one is the test yourself. uh, Testing yourself is like close the book and try to produce the answer yourself. Like if you read a paragraph, then ask yourself what you have learned in that particular paragraph, and what is the benefit you were getting out of it. And the second is spacing it out. So some total time, like in the total average of the time you have spent across days, instead of picking one night and do everything. So these are the two patterns when you have to do it. One is try yourself, testing yourself, and then spacing out by splitting things in the days instead of doing everything in a day or two. There is a very good book called Make It Sick, make it how I'm saying, Make It Stick. Uh, this is the written by the cognitive scientist, and the core idea is the effect of retrieving something is what make it stick, not the effort putting into it. So this is how you explain to yourself: watching a tutorial is like loading into RAM. It's fast, it's processed so good, but it's not going to store for a long term, because as soon as the electricity go out, the RAM got up vanished and cleaned up. So you have to make sure after you done your work, which is RAM, is you able to solve or store in your disk, kind of like write for yourself. So once you've done your work, your RAM is going to be cleared. But If you have stored that work in your laptop, it's going to be safe for the long term. So here, just a second, just take a quick break for look back. This will also help us to understand. I know till this slide, some of the people who gone through till here still thinking what exactly we achieved here yet. But we are just starting, and we're trying to align things together. So one of the question I have in my mind is, if we go back to the history, and I will ask you what I explain is, what are the two categories I split your skills into? You remember? That is the root and the leaves. Roots are durable, leaves are going to be fall for within a year or this sprint, based on the sprint. This is the one question I have. Let me ask one more question is, which three techniques did the researcher rate slow? So the low is, if you remember, that's one is the rereading, highlighting, and summarizing. That is the second one. The third question I have, again, just to recalling, is what is the difference between recognition and the recall? So recognition is what makes sense when I see it. Recall is I can reproduce from nothing. So recognition is easy. Recall is the hard factor. Now, if you think that while I was going to ask that question, somebody have to think back what I have explained, or maybe I missed. And this particular movement is very important, because you go back in the history to discuss or think through the system. Okay, Rajan asked three questions and then answer it back, and do I really remember that what he explained in past? So that particular moment where you hitting your memory to call it back is a very important section, that you need to understand what is something you need to be get done, and how to memorize that. So when all is this processing, two short things that matter more than any technique. And this is very good psychological thing that you will learn, is there is only one word, uh, written by the Carol. She is a psychologist at Stanford. She spent decades studying the difference between who quit when things get hard and people who don't. That's what the study she had done. And her book is called Mindset. You can go through and read about the book, and it worth your time. I'm personally saying that. The short version of this book is, people who believe ability is fixed treat difficulty as proof they don't have it. People who believe ability grows treat difficulty as the process working. If I simplify that statement is, if you think the process is going to be difficult, and that difficulty is the benchmark, that's the problem. But people who look at the difficulty and they focus on the ability to grow enough to face that difficulty is make you the processing progressing person. And according to her, the best tool is just one word. Call it call it yet. So instead of saying I don't understand rebase, we should start saying I don't understand rebase yet. You see the example here, and I'm not a system person. Can be said I'm not a system person yet. I know how it sounds. I completely get it. It's not a something that everybody wants to go and do it. It sounds like the poster in the schools or the college that going to promote something with one punchy lines. But I will remind you something. Every time you go through with something, how exactly you start in your head. For example, you see a technology, then how you start. i'm I'm just not maybe ready, maybe not started, maybe I need to learn, and so and so. But the part you need to understand is, I'm not just, you rephrase already in your mind and already decided what you're gonna say and how to attach with that. So you already took a decision before even saying that. And this is the real thing. So if you are capable to change that, it will make a big impact on your life. And this single word is not going to cost you a lot. So the first thing we talk about the word, the single word. The next thing I want to explain you about the five stages. And that five stages is like a map. And I want you to locate yourself here honestly. I will explain you all the phases, but relate yourself here. I'm sure you will love this. So novice is, you follow rules, you don't know why, and if the situation is different than the example tutorial, for example, uh, you are stuck. That is the novice is. Then the next is become the advanced beginner. So the advanced beginner is, you know enough to start, and then you can adopt the changes, and you can start adjusting around it. That's the advanced beginner. So keep thinking about any technology or the tutorial around it. The third is competent, where you can plan and you can troubleshoot. And it's very important, this is the stage where most people feel lost. Why? I will explain you that. Because you know enough to see, I will repeat again, you know enough to see how much you don't know. The most people quit here. This is the stage they start blaming themselves, and they stuck in a loop. Moving from novice to here, it's fast, but the most people get stuck here in this particular state. And you can discuss with any professional, senior, experienced person, they can explain you that pain good enough. And not just the senior, sometimes we feel that too, like we have a feeling, we understand that, but we also can understand we cannot do it. This is the particular state here. This is a panic situation for general people, and that has become a problem. Let's talk more about one step upper, where everything feel like good. So when we say the proficient, so what is the definition of proficient? Is you see situation as whole, the complete picture, and you have the capability to understand what is noise that you need to remove, and what matters for you. You pick it. I will be honest with you. I've been stuck in the particular section for long enough that I start feeling like I become outdated and I need to keep learning and doing stuff because I don't know a lot of things which I should know. That's why I'm saying this particular stage is very critical. And the last stage is the expert. So in the expert, you stop calculating. You exactly see the problem and you exactly see what matters to you, and immediately start working on that to fix it. So there's a two thing about this map. First, most of you maybe started with maybe starting your career now. So novice or the advanced beginner is the most thing that is completely normal for the people who starting their career, and they going with that. and you need to understand if you are fall in that category, you are at good place. Sometimes you feel a panic that because you comparing yourself while you are in the stage 1, and you see somebody is already on the stage 4, and you start feeling like, Mm, how the hell I don't know about that, which the other person is know. I'm not talking about somebody who is senior or somebody who have more experience. Maybe in the same age group you can find that. So it's very important you to understand your category and where you fall, and do not compare yourself with the other people of where they have the different category. Second thing, you need to very understand that you are at the different stage of the different technology, and you get to choose what and where you should invest. You do not need to be an expert at everything, nobody is. And you need to be genuinely competent at few things, and functionally literate for at many as possible. This is the strategy, this is the name, and rest of this four is how it to execute it. So I build a process for myself that I'm going to share with you. I call it the learn loop. And if you want, you can take a screenshot of it. Otherwise, I'm going to release, everything is there, so it's going to be available on the YouTube as well. Total 5 steps is here, with one loop. You run it one technology at a time, 3 week per loop, right? That's what it here we are going to explain that. So first is look at the target, pick one, say no to the 10 technologies. So first is L, lock the target, pick one technology and say no to all other technology. The second bucket you need is E, which stand for explain it simply. If you cannot say it in the plain language, you don't know about it. That is the second thing. Third is the attack in the 3 sessions. Build it, break it, and rebuild it. Do it, because this is the key that will help you to understand how to attack or things that you need to know in well. R stand for the repeat the schedule. So you can split in the day 1, day 7, day 30. It's all up to you how you want to split it, but splitting something to get done is very important, because in the real career, you are not going to fix everything in a day. You have to plan and schedule the work properly. And the last is narrate in public. So why the narrate is very important is, teach someone else, it will grow and make your memory permanent. If you don't, then it start leaking. That's the problem with the knowledge. Every step here, three things: a time limit, things you produce, and a stopping rule. Because study more is not a plan that tell you when you are done. So let's understand every component in detail. Oh, we already spent good enough time here. We'll move fast. I know it's long enough, but I'm trying to make it important to you. So if you have any feedback on it, please keep dropping on the chat comments. I will be helpful for that. Uh, okay, go back. Look at the target. So, and next 10 slide is the most important slide here. So please focus on this. If you have any question, do not hesitate to drop in the comments. I will be make sure answering those questions after the event. So L here is like we discussed, the log the target is, you produce one written decision and you stop when you said no to everything else. It's like locking with one thing that you need to be achieved. So in the first 30 minutes, you take that decision, like this exactly the technology I niche down, this exactly I need to learn. The single biggest reason people don't get across the cliff is that they are never pick a hill. They are learning four things at 30% effect each. Four things at 30% get you across the zero effects. So you need to learn how to filter. This is very important because if you start splitting your things in the multiple things, then you will never achieve the 100%. To fix that problem, here is the framework I follow for the learn now. I split in four sections. So section 1 is, which is very important, you need to know what exactly you're going to do now. And when I'm saying now, which means one item at a time. The second is the next. Q maximum two things here. So Q means you are not touching it now, but you will do immediately after now. And you are not going to debate that you are going to do it or not. The third is the later. So later means you will do it later. So add as many as possible technologies you want to learn. And the fourth list is the never. And this is most people don't have, but I think this is very important. You should have a list where you will start writing down the technologies and saying by this that you don't need to learn that. So start learning how to say no, which is not important to you. So when I'm saying no, no means no. So it's not something like you put in a no and there is a situation come when you think like, oh, maybe I should give it a try and read it. So if that's the case, keep it in the later instead of keep putting in the no. So when it's moving the no, it's something that you never go back and learn it because you already decided what is the high priority for you. And here, never doesn't mean that you go ahead and like say, okay, I done give up on this. This is the most professional thing. Seniors are not those who know everything. Seniors are know what exactly they need to get done and what they need to skip. That skipping is they always fall in the never or the later category. That's what they make them a good decision maker. Because if you need to learn something, why you prefer the expert? Because the expert have spent most of the time on a niche, which is now or the next. So if you go with the now, like you decide, okay, I selected one and now I want to go with the now, then how you know what technology should move in the now? That's very important because just because you have a feeling, you should not be just add to the now. So to simplify this, let's ask the five question to yourself. One is, it's not about is it a trending technology or not. Never go with the process. Think this way: have I personally been blocked by the thing that this particular technology is solving? If yes, you will learn it three times faster because you have a real problem to solve. But if you don't have a real problem to solve, there is a high probability you will stuck in trending state and you're trying to fix a problem which not exist. So that's very important question to ask. Second is, identify it's a root or leaf. We already had a good discussion in the past, like what is the root, what is the leaf, but figure out it is a technology which is going for a long term or the short term. Just figure it out and then take a decision on that. Three is three is something hiring for it. And this particular point is not just for now, it also will help you to learn something now why it's important in your career. So do one thing in your city or maybe in the area or where you would like to get you a job. Go on that job portal, search the title, search the term, search the technology, whatever you are looking for is, and create a your following category like 0 to 2 year of the experience, and look at the number that technology is listed. So that give you the honest answer, is that technology is going to be helpful to get a job or not. Because Maybe we feel influenced, like, okay, I need a job, what should I do, what should I learn? This particular question will help you out. The technology you are going to learn, is it demanding in the market or not? If it is a root technology, so I know that is going to be stay for the decades, and then I can be focused on that. But nowadays, the job you will see in the market is looks like a leaf, but the backbone is by the root that you need to understand in depth. The next is, do you have a quick tutorial on that technology that help you to get something running within an hour? This is called the quick start. Generally, most the technology provide that quick start. So you will go and run a quick hello world with that technology, and that will tell you the reality of that project, how easy will be or how hard it will be. So that will give you a very good idea, like what the technology can produce and how fast you can learn that, like the POC kind of thing. Because all those four is going to help you out with how to select the right technology. But the last question is very important, because this will also help you to connect the technology with what you already know. So the five is, does it connect to something that you already know? If yes, that become that you will start making a map in your mind that, okay, this is something I already know, and this technology fulfilling that gap with solving a specific problem, and there is a demand in the market. If I achieve that well, maybe I can capture that specific market as a job or as a business. Now, let's move from L to the E, the second phase called explain it simply. So you produce one page, and on here what you're gonna do is, before even writing a single line of the code, you spend around 2 hours to learn about the technology well. And when I'm saying do your research, do you understand, I mean, you already figure out the problem you are going to solve, and so and so. I know the every instinct when you start saying that, say open the editor and let's start coding, but resist for that. Because here's the why. If you start coding immediately, you are doing what you did in an every tutorial step. Because generally, if you just follow a tutorial, get something done, which is we already discussed in the last step, you will get it working perfectly. But the problem is you don't know why you get it work functional. This is the second blocker we will fix in that stage. So the Richard, who is the psychiatrist, had a method for this called, and this is the most useful thing in his whole section, which is it's called the four step back. So in the four step back, the steps are: pick the thing, explain it to the simplest possible language, as if as what should I say, as if to a beginner, notice exactly where you get stuck, or start using uh, uh, something to cover up, and go back and study only the gap. This way you understand what exactly is the missing in your technology when you doing a research part. So I will repeat it again just to simplify. You have the context, you pick a friend who is non-tech or somebody who is not in the tech, maybe your family, parents, and you explain them in the layman language, and note down every time you stuck, note down where you stuck. This is the concept which is missing for you. And then go back, study it again, and do the explanation again. Keep stuck in the loop unless you understand the technology enough. So that will help you to become how to understand technology and how to simplify that, because explain it simply will help you to think through about a problem statement, and you will start receiving the feedback questions as well. So these gaps are the gold, because if you start filling those gaps, then you know how to learn something faster and simplify for that. So here's my version of the test. I've been struggling with um, English for long. That's my understanding. I built that slide just to point out, because I'm not the one person. I have I think I'm not believing nowadays. I think nowadays people come up with some better communication, but still the specific word that belongs to a technology is hard to remember. So if you try Git and you start remembering what is repository, what is commit, what is version control, branch manage, remote, and those words looks easy, but it's if you have never encountered or have no experience, there's a high probability you have to recall what it called. So instead of this, I mean, for the record, here's I'm gonna say that I just took an example. So Git is a tool that takes a photograph. This is how I remember. I'm just telling my idea. So Git is a tool that takes a photograph of your entire project every time you tell it to it, and remember every photograph forever, and let you go back any of them and work on a copy without disturbing the original. That's how I remember. And if you need to understand that, like, just I'm just telling you the idea how to remember the Git. So there is an album which have 200 photos, right? So each photo is like number of the code you have written. If you flip that photos fast, you see a video running. That's your running project. So each photo is become the piece of the code you have written at a time. That's how I remember how the Git is. So that simplify the concept for me. So the understanding is very important. So every technology I have the nouns, actually five nouns. So what exactly is repository, commit, branch, remote, conflict? For example, there's a three word: commit, merge, and push. So what you have to do is you have to understand how and what problem it solved in one sentence, what people did before it and what they heard, the five nouns and the three verbs, one diagram you draw by hand. Badly is fine, because writing the diagram is very important. That help you to learn things. And at the bottom of the diagram, the three question you cannot answer yet, that you have to start writing down. So those three questions are the most valuable one. They what kind of the questions they are, I'm gonna explain that. That's called building the process, where you start open the editor and start doing stuff. So but before that, let me explain back the attack one. So attack, if you remember, we discussed about build, break, and rebuild. That's what we discussed in the past. So there's a specific research that done by the Andres, I think Andres, yes, Andres, who spent his career mostly around how expertise is actually built. Like if somebody says that I'm an expert, then what the process they have followed to become expert, like musician, athlete, chess player, or any other professional, So 10,000 hours of the research they have done, which himself objected to, because the hours were never the point. The quality of the practice was the point. Then Kathy took his work and turned it into something that we can actually check. Pick a specific skill you currently cannot do well. If the right size, you should be able to get the around 95% reliable within one or three session of about 40, 50 to 90 minutes. And there's the part matters. If 3 sessions not enough, you don't try hard, you make it the target smaller. That's the strategy you have to pick. So let's understand that. Let's understand more and go in the depth. So if any point, let me start with the explain that well. um when Kathy done his research, and he said that within 90 minutes you have become the reachable and the reliable, then what Kathy is trying to help us is with what is missing, that we should simplify. And the simplification is not by try harder, it's by make it smaller. So we try to digest something which is a big chunk of our work at the same time. Instead of this, how we can split it well and get it done. So if the 3 session is not enough, like I was saying before, and you don't try hard, what you can do is you can do the make your target small. And this is exactly opposite of what every one of you doing or you have done in past. So when you are stuck after 3 or 4 sessions of something what you cannot do, uh, you do then 10 more hours, you will feel bad about yourself, you conclude you are not smart enough. And that's your assumption, and you can relate that with any technology you're learning. So you decided, okay, you started with something, this is great, and within next 4 or 5 hours you like stuck with something, and you keep spending hours but you are not able to figure it out, and you end up thinking, I'm not good with that. So what is the wrong response here? The duration you spend here, it doesn't mean you are doing it wrong. That's the wrong verdict. The measurement is saying that the problem you are trying to fix, it's big, and it need to be split, so you have the enough time to solve it in the correct way. If I say that learn Git in a day or something, it's too big number of the session, because you have to go in hands on and make sure you understand everything. But resolving a conflict with the specific purpose can be achieved by following the specific procedure, that to simplify one. So the simple is, if there is this process which is you feel like you are stuck, split it. That's very important. and and if 3 sessions are not enough, we're gonna split that. So if you go with um thinking again, sorry, I've stuck with thinking process. Imagine you go and look for the tutorial which going to explain what exactly the problem you are solving. So following a tutorial is not a practice that you really need to understand. Watching someone else doing is not the practice. So imagine, can you learn swimming by looking at someone else who doing the swimming? If you say yes, great, this video is not for you. But if you are agree with me, then that is the blocker we need to fix. So by just watching something doesn't make you the expert of that thing. You have to be in the situation to doing that. And again, redoing something that you already expert at, doing it again uh, is not making you um, expert on that. It's just going to fix a piece of the thing over there, and it's become comfortable, because comfortable is the opposite of the mechanism. Practice means is you are at the right age. Practice means you fail sometime and you know why you're failing and you figure out how to solve that. If you are not failing at doing something, either you pick something is too easy, and or maybe you are just enjoying yourself, where you are so depth in understanding and you solving a problem pretty fast, pretty accurate. And if we are doing this great, then you are on the right path. But still it's very hard to produce that. So that's why that's very important is to keep doing that with the build, break, and rebuild. So make the smallest possible thing that works, not impressive, but working, and then break it on purpose. So this is a step that separate people who use technology from people who understand it. And there's the discipline that makes it powerful. Before you break it, write down what you think will happen, then break it, and then compare. So if you know the changes you are doing which gonna break, and based on the what you have break, if it is same, then great, your understanding is aligned how things break. But if not, understand the gap, what why is that. So that prediction step is try practical warning ahead of the time in your head, like this is how you understand the problem and how it react when it failed. So example for git, create a merge conflict and then resolve it and then delete the comment and then recover it, rebase it, branch it. There's a tons of the practice you can do, like build, break, and rebuild. So when I'm saying rebuild, means delete everything, blank folder, and do it again from your memory. So this time you don't have to go and look and research and the dog, but just repeat what you have just done. So you build by looking at tutorial or something. If you this is how you want to start, then you break it, list down what the changes you want to do here, and then how you want to break it, and then uh, delete everything and do the rebuild again. And do that process with the schedule. This is the next star, the repeat on the schedule. So I think this is one of the step which most of the people skip, and this is the honest situation. You will do first three steps, and it will be a great weekend. You will feel brilliant, and in 5 weeks, and you will have lost the mind of it, and you will be annoyed and slightly feel different, and maybe you will conclude that you have bad memory and you skip the schedule. Remember, teaching yourself and spacing it out. The step is both, and it costs 30 minutes idle. That's how you can do it. So if you really want to plan it this way. Day 1, just spend 10 minutes. Day 7, 10 minutes. And day 30, 10 minutes. 30 minutes to keep something for years. And this is one of the my favorite slide. Write questions, not the note. So do not reread your notes. Rereading is low utility. How many of you seen that the notes you write, you never read it back because you feel like it is not a good notes? I'm one of them. Maybe some of you also feel the same at the time of looking at your notes, and maybe you have no idea what that notes meaning is. So this is something that we should fix, because the rereading is become the low quality with your notes, because it give you the warm feeling that okay, now you remember, but which in the practical knowledge is almost nothing. Instead, what you can do is, one second. Yes. So next time what you're going to do is write down the notes, uh, instead of writing sorry, write down the question instead of writing down the notes. So that is going to help you to recalibrate your brain what you have learned, and if you need recall, then what is the right question that will help you to recall the memory. So by doing this, this will help you to develop your brain by actually remembering what problem you've been solved today. So that's how it's doing. And the last step is narrate in the public. So whatever you have learned, and the fastest way to find the holes in your understanding, that's what I do, is to try to explain to someone else. And every time somebody who asks why, then either you explain that, and if you are not capable to do it, note it down. So writing is thinking with the errors made visibility. So this is how you will fix it. And this will also help you to build how to answer someone to explain something, which also become a bridge between how you will answer in your career. And I want to be direct with you, because you are maybe the final year student, or maybe somebody who is starting with the career. Is the Indian skill reports put national employability as around 56%, and the computer scientist graduate are nearly 80. Those are the decent number. And yet, ask anyone in your batch how the placement session is going. You will understand what it is. So employable is on the test, and hireable by the human are the different things. So there's a developer called Sean, who had a piece called "Learn in Public." His observation is the most people learn privately and learn, and the publishing was you learn compounds in a way private learning never does. So it's the goal. He is that be the person who pick it up and able to speak up in the session where every you can explain to the someone else well and learn from your outcome. And this is how you design things. Is first create a readme. A stronger can actually follow 2 hours. Everyone can do it today. Two is 500 post. Is here the best formula for a beginner, like what confused me about X and what finally made it check. It's more about the technology you have learned and how you're gonna explain to someone. And then record a 5 minutes of the video at where you explain everything, and it does not need your face, it just need your voice, because you are going to listen back the voice only. So take a step and record yourself, and if it is possible, then talk at a meetup. So talking somewhere, explain what you have learned, is giving you the confidence and the till what we have built, the authority and the authentication that set up the benchmark for you, and you become the best possible teacher for yourself here in that particular stage. And one important slide actually I added is more with people is always worried about the AI gonna make things spoil for me. So here's the thing: is AI is just a spotter for you, not your substitute. So AI is amplifier. So for example, Google's Dora team survived around 5,000 professionals last year, and their conclusion was the one sentence: AI is just the amplifier. That's all they want to say. There's one of the example is Stack Overflow survived 49,000 developers. 84% use AI, and the number one compliant. 66% of them is code that's almost right but not quite. Nearly half say debugging AI output costs them more than all it saves. And think about what it means for you. The most valuable skill in the industry right now is not writing code, it's being able to tell the difference between right and the almost right. That's very important. And the third is, which is I feel like is important, is there's a study from the MIT, I think MIT lab. And I want to be very careful actually in if it just to say that they call this effect cognitive depth. People who used an AI assistant from the start showed weaker brain connectivity, remembered less of what they have produced, and feel less o- feel less about the ownership of it. So, but the interesting bit is the crossover. People who did the work themselves first and then brought in the AI performed better than the people who start directly with the AI. So here's the rule I give you: attempt first yourself and then second go with the AI. So nobody fail at learning; they fail mostly at showing up. So the showing up is very important. That's how we discuss in detail here. And the punctuality is a promise. Actually, here it's not a clock. So I want to reframe one word is called punctuality. So you have been thought punctuality means arrive at 9 a.m. That's the smallest and least interesting version. So the Robert explained that the clean coder, they explain that in this way is, I will do this by then, and then does it. And 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 then a professional say no, which is become the early clearly rather than saying yes and quietly failing later. So the definition is kind of blurry, but let me simplify for you. Every one of you have broken a promise to yourself this month. I will start Monday. Monday come, then nothing happened and nobody noticed, which is exactly the problem is. There are no consequences for breaking a promise to yourself, which is why is the hardest promise to keep, and why keeping it to the entire skill. So everything in your career is downstream to this deadline, trust, whatever you leads give you the interesting work. So there's a weekly clock called the 5 hours clock. Three block of the 90 minutes you attack session, one block of the 30 minutes is you do the repeat, and one block of 1 hour is you narrate. 5 hours, put them in your calendar with specific time, this week, right now, or something at the Saturday, and so that treat it exactly like a college class, and you won't skip a class because you don't feel inspired. You have a rule that you need to be followed. And four rules to protect those 5 hours, like for long is that 2 minutes start. The hardest part is starting, so make starting travel small. You do not commit yourself that you will study for the 90 minutes. It's, I have to open the terminal, that's all. That's it, that's all I have to do. So that's the whole promise. You will always continue, but even on the day you don't, you keep the promise and the identity survive. Also from the second is, it's the most forgiving and the most important rule here is, you will miss a session, life happens. Missing once is an incident, missing twice is the start of a new pattern. So the rule isn't be perfect, it's never skip two in a row. Like if you skip it once because of some reason, but never make it two. Third is the hardest thing first. And the first block of your week should be the thing that you are most avoiding. Your willpower is the highest early and dread compound it all week. And the fourth is shrink the box. So there is a Parkinson law which say that work explode to the fill the fill the time available. So don't give it unlimited time. 90 minutes time on, and when your times goes stop. And even let not let your mind flow with that. Especially stop making it dramatically easier to start next time, because you are returning to something that unfinished instead of facing a blank page. So you will never learn everything. So stop trying by learn everything. And then focus on like the discussion we have done. And the right one is the cliff I showed in the front of the every technology you will ever touch, and you cannot cross all of them. Nobody has, nobody will. Let me not let me tell you that not even me, not your senior, and nobody else will able to do that. So but you are get choose what one across and the choice. So a workbook is a very important part here. So what I'm going to do is I have created a workbook that explain all the concept, and then you can follow that workbook to achieve what you want to do. And that workbook will help you to restructure how you will learn and follow it. Rest we will discuss more about in next coming discussions. I know some part I missed to explain well, but I will keep polishing how can I explain well, and keep improvising. Your suggestion is very important. Keep posting, and I will make sure I should be able to deliver better and better. So as you learning, so do I. Thank you everyone for staying such long period with me. And I'm going to share a form with you. Please fill the form, and so I know I can share the workbook with you. Please go through that workbook, and I can assure you that it is going to be one of the best thing you have done ever in terms of managing your time with the technology, and that will help you to learn tech like a pro. That's all from my side. Thank you everyone. You guys can start putting up the questions if you have any, and I will go through by all the question and response back well. Not just okay. I'm just looking some questions. Okay. So E and A is the core learning process, not just E and A. Um, we have more, but yes, maybe the workbook have the better explanation. Once you fill the workbook, then I'm sure you will figure out what is the core learning exercises needed for you. How can I put this in Udemy video for 360 if 2 hours long video? So I use a tool called Riverside. So I use that tool for the recording and going live. I'm not sure if that's a useful for you, but this is how you can do it. Okay, I see that's all the question I